The natural state is known for its haunted places, and for many, what they have experienced is unnatural. Good evening and happy Halloween. I'm Chris Carter. From hearing voices to seeing things that just can't be explained, there are stories of spirits plentiful enough to write dozens of books. Over the next hour, we will take you on a tour of some of those places and let you decide if there really are hidden haunts amongst us. And we do want to warn you and let you know that some of the stories we will be sharing tonight have some video and audio impacts that might be sensitive for people with sensitivities. We are going to start our journey in Randolph County, where a business known for its metaphysical offerings may also be harboring spirits from beyond. Under a moonlit sky, a quaint Pocahontas shop reflects the eerie light shrouded in mystery. This unassuming place holds a hidden secret, a presence that defies the mundane.
There are a lot of spirits here.
Teresa Oden is one of the owners of Spirit Knows. She welcomed me and a few paranormal investigators on a recent Monday night, but we weren't going on this adventure by ourselves.
We're never alone. We'll be ever. Spirit is everywhere.
With Spirit at our side and the help of fellow co-owners Tammy Ross and Teresa Callantine, we joined investigator Doug Cousins for a night of study, delving into the supernatural. We used a technique called the Estes method to connect with whoever may have joined us unannounced. It began with me being placed in a chair, blindfolded, plunged into darkness. I was given a pair of headphones.
I'm going to ask questions, but you won't hear me.
And with the lights out, I began listening to a spirit box, a device emitting white noise. If you listen closely enough, you just might hear a word or two. My first word? Love. As the group asked me questions, I strained to listen, immersed into the eerie soundscape of the unknown. I listened, my heart pounding in the darkness, only occasionally catching a word. Stairs. There was a theory behind what I was hearing. Callantine explained.
You get voices and words, and that's the way the spirit communicates with you, is through the white noise.
Not getting much from me, we put Oden in the chair. She, of course, is the expert, unafraid of the forces at play. It didn't take long for her to pick up on something. Her senses attuned to the malevolent spirits that resided here.
Hey.
It's believed she talked to two different spirits, one appearing friendly, while the other...
I said stop.
...was clear in its disdain for investigator Doug Cousins. Did Doug arrest you?
I just don't like you.
Having investigated paranormal activity for years, Cousins believed whoever didn't like him wasn't evil, just territorial.
I don't think anything will follow us home. I think it's just this is their place, and they don't want people messing around in here.
As the minutes passed, we turned our attention to another method using EMF readers.
Do you know you're dead?
Situated around a table, we tried to communicate, but the conversation was quiet. Whoever had joined us was no longer there, at least to us untrained souls. But for the three owners, the voices are always there.
I've heard full-on conversations before. I've been woken up in the middle of the night having things whisper in my ear.
Owner Tammy Ross explained that just a few nights before our arrival, during a different investigation, the crew picked up on several words from beyond. Listen for yourself and see if you hear them. The ladies of the shop said they heard, "Get out." Listen again. Try this one. Listen closely. Did you hear "help me"? Tammy, Teresa, and Teresa did. It took them years to perfect their craft, and while it may be hard to believe, the trio said that you too have a spiritual gift. It just takes work.
It takes a bit trying different things to find out what you're really good at. And what you do with that is just keep practicing and working with it, and slowly it builds up stronger and stronger.
It's the only way for you to notice the noises that you may be ignoring, because after all, there's no way to know who's lurking around you or what happens after death. As Cousins said,
Can't be an expert till you die.
anything else?
I'm not ready to be an expert.
It's a chilling tale of spirit knows and the mysterious world of the paranormal that seamlessly merge, where the lines between the living and the dead blurred, and the unknown beckoned with an allure.
I feel like some of it may be residual, but for the most part, I think it's just people passing through some of it.
Now, history is more than just understanding the past. In some cases, it can bleed into paranormal activity. And one Sharp County town is embracing the presence of spirits. A group of people in Hardy have formed ghost tours throughout the town. It will take attendees to spots said to be unseen and popular with them. One of those stops is near the Hardy Railroad crossing. It is said the tracks are a place where a female spirit tends to hang out, much to the surprise of those who travel through the town.
Was a lady in a white dress standing in the middle of the train tracks, and as he was putting on his horn for her to move, she didn't. When the train slows down, he's all confused. He's going to check and see if he just hit this lady, and she shows up beside him and kisses him on the cheek.
And those who take part in the tours are provided equipment to help them detect the presence of those who not everyone can see. And visit any place with history, and you're certain to hear the stories of hauntings. Some of those places have numerous buildings full of folklore. That is the case at Lyon College, where there are plenty of stories. Our Macy Davis traveled to campus where Brown's Chapel is said to have a few spirits haunting it.
Brown Chapel, known by some as the heart of Lyon College's campus, holds a lot of tradition, memories, and stories.
A number of stories that are related to, we'll call them hauntings. Probably the most notable of the stories.
According to Dr. David Hutchison, the Vice President for Advancement at Lyon College, many can be traced back to before Lyon College, formerly known as Arkansas College, was founded.
This was actually a Masonic orphanage for many years. The orphanage eventually closed, and the college took over these properties in the mid-1950s. And the buildings were right up here, actually. Some beautiful Baroque buildings were on this hill.
The encounters that have been told over the years involve hearing the laughter of children who may have once lived in the orphanage. Those same kids have allegedly been seen playing in the chapel.
One of the most significant ones is that in the light of dusk, if you look at the crown of the steeple, sometimes you can see children dancing around the steeple playing Ring Around the Rosie. I've never seen it myself, but I can say that just like on the stage in Brown Chapel, I have heard what sometimes sounded like children laughing.
Some Lyon students even coming in at night to see if the tales hold any truth, particularly for one involving a ghost named Michael.
The tradition says that late at night you can sometimes hear Michael playing, and if you set out something like a ball on the stage, Michael loves toys. And so Michael will sometimes roll the ball across the stage.
Hutchison is part of a music group that rehearses in Brown Chapel on a weekly basis, and sometimes unexplained events occur.
Many times in between songs, we hear what sounds like a voice or something being dragged around in the backstage, but nobody's ever here. We've even gotten up and checked and never found anything.
The rumors and encounters well known by students that attend the college.
When I found out I was doing this story yesterday, I walked past Brown Chapel and I kind of the hairs on my arms started standing up and stuff.
The building gives senior Aiden McGowan an eerie vibe.
Kind of creepy a wee bit, especially at night when you're walking on your own around campus, there's stories of you can see the children of the orphanage playing in the steeple and stuff.
The college has even had ghost hunters come check the building out.
A medium came with them. She came into the building, and the story is that she kind of stopped halfway through the main auditorium here, said that she was experiencing some kind of presence, and began to guess, is it Nathaniel? Is it Mark? Is it Matthew? No, it's Michael.
Beyond Brown Chapel, there may actually be more corners of Lyon's campus that are home to mysterious occurrences.
And they revolve around this tapestry, which was gifted to the college many years ago. And the story goes that the tapestry actually was in the room of a bride on the day of her wedding, who unexpectedly and tragically died the day of her wedding.
That tapestry still resides in the Bevins Music Room.
In the evening, especially in moonlight, students have said that if you come in here, you will catch a glimpse of the bride-to-be dancing in the moonlight with her groom-to-be.
So, are there ghosts haunting Lyon College?
I don't know if there are children dancing on the steeple of Brown, but I know that I've heard these stories from an awful lot of people, and I have occasionally experienced a few odd disturbances myself, so who am I to say?
All right, Macy joins me now after this experience. What was it like over there?
It was so cool, and the thing is, so I grew up in Batesville, and I grew up going to events at Brown's Chapel in Lyon College, and it's just such a cool experience. I loved going there, but as I was growing up, I would hear all these stories about these kids that would be playing around. People would see these ghosts. It was the craziest thing. Did I have any personal experience with ghosts? No.
Oh.
I did not. And I kind of wanted to have an experience with a ghost. You know, you need to have that experience.
You could have played catch with Michael out there.
Right. I should have got a ball and just rolled it across the stage, but he didn't say anything.
He didn't want to play.
Didn't reach out. Didn't want to play, I guess. But so many people have heard it. Who knows? Could be haunted.
Yeah, and you talked to a lot of people while you were there. What were some of the other stories you heard?
Yeah. So some of the other stories are, you know, people will go up to the top of the chapel, and then they hear people talking to them, and so they hear like these whispers and people, you know, saying get out, and so kind of scary, kind of.
But you didn't really experience anything while you were there.
No, I didn't.
So.
I didn't experience it, but so these are all just rumors. I don't know if they're actually true.
We're gonna have to send you back and have you.
I know.
Like get some EMF readers and some paranormal investigators out
Definitely
there.
a follow-up. Yeah,
absolutely. And that isn't the only place that you have looked at for this series, Hidden Haunts.
That's right. Yeah.
You also went to Missouri.
Yes, I went to Doniphan, Missouri, and pretty crazy there.
Yeah, you were investigating the hauntings of our government in Doniphan. Let's take a look at what she found there.
Yeah, let's do it.
Just be careful where you step.
The small town of Doniphan, Missouri, founded in 1847, has a close-knit community with residents invested in its history from Native American camps to Civil War battles.
A lot of history makes it interesting. Some of the stories that the local folk people can tell you.
Ripley County Sheriff Mike Barton is no stranger to the stories that have supernatural twists.
Right around midnight, while patrolling, as I was coming down Lafayette Street approaching the courthouse, one of the windows on the north side of the courthouse, a light was on. Shouldn't be no lights on after midnight. Well, I seen a male figure, tall, dark hair, walk across the window. I enter the courthouse. I search the courthouse. There is no persons inside the courthouse.
The courthouse is a spawn for alleged ghost activity. While it's been rebuilt twice, the original building stood there in the 1840s. Even the staircase of the courthouse has its own ghost story.
You can talk to the elected official that works in the courthouse, and if they're here after hours, when nobody else is in the courtroom or in the courthouse, you will hear footsteps coming up those steps and creeping and popping.
Just a few feet from the courthouse is the old Doniphan jail.
3 cells with 2 bunks in each cell, and for the inmates to get exercise, the sheriff would let the inmates out of the cells and they could walk this hallway right here.
Although the jail is obviously no longer in operation, there may be a little something left behind, at least from what Sheriff Barton has seen.
An armed figure came out of the window and I seen the armed figure waving. So I'm thinking somebody has broken into the old jail. I come in and check and there is nobody here.
Spooky stories spark all over the small town. One Doniphan couple purchased part of the old Doniphan Community Hospital to restore. The building itself is over 100 years old.
We know our relatives walked these halls and were in these buildings, and so that's pretty cool. It's like owning a piece of our family history in some ways.
Kat Robinson is one of the owners.
So this is the stairs up to the patient's rooms.
And said they pretty quickly realized, even when it's just her and her husband,
I don't like to go up by myself.
they may not be alone.
We see things like people just walking through the hallway and just catch a glimpse. We hear the front door open and close a lot, and there's nobody there.
One instance during the restoration process really caught them off guard.
We were working on the building downstairs. We opened the door and the lights were on upstairs. But the interesting thing of it was there was no electricity connected upstairs that we knew of. And so when we tried to shut off the lights, we couldn't shut them off. We threw all the breakers, they didn't go off. We actually had to go out to the electric pole outside and throw the main, and they finally went off.
A hot topic for Kat and Brett is the hospital's old morgue.
People laugh at me, but here I am, the Halloween queen, but I won't go into the morgue.
So how did you feel when you went down there?
It's when you think about, what happened down there, and you kind of look over your shoulder and
expect to run into a zombie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You feel, like I said, kind of guarded.
Not alone.
While K8 photojournalist Ian Lawrence was setting up the camera for our interview with Kat, we heard something mysterious ourselves.
Well, as soon as we walked downstairs, we started talking and no one was upstairs. Everything was, turned off. And then we just hear a random banging sound.
Mm-hmm. It was really crazy. Was it a ghost? I want to say it was, but I don't know. We may never know, but it was spooky.
While she doesn't consider the old hospital to be haunted, Kat thinks there are definitely some lingering spirits.
It's just like we were saying, more of a feeling of just kind of not being alone.
But you feel like there has been some kind of presence.
There has been, and I really think all of downtown has stuff going on.
All right, Macy, I have to know, what did you hear from this spirit or this ghost?
Okay, it was the weirdest thing. We had just come down from the upstairs area where the patients' rooms were. Ian was setting up the camera for Kat's interview, her full interview that we were going to do with her, and then we hear just this huge bang, just out of nowhere. There was nothing that could have been disturbed up there that caused the noise, and it was so loud that we had no question. It was spooky, especially with what we were talking about while we were there. So it was wild. I think it was a ghost. I'm just gonna be honest. I think it was something supernatural. But
did you finish the interview, or did you go outside, or what did you do?
Yeah, we finished the interview, and even Kat, she was like, oh, I guess there are some spirits here. I don't know if they're happy that y'all are here, but there may be some spirits here right now.
Yeah, and you were talking about there's a lot of history in Doniphan. It's a small town, but there's a lot of history. Did you get any other stories about things around town?
Yeah, actually, so one of their cemeteries is actually said to be haunted, and there is a statue there of a woman, and some people say that when you look at her at midnight, you'll see a tear drop from her eye. Some people have even seen her waving at them when they go there super late at night. They're not supposed to be there late at night, but yeah, they see them waving and see her crying. So yeah, interesting stuff. There were so many stories in Doniphan that I could have told that are just super spooky. There was also another restaurant. It was an old restaurant where Mrs. Finch, she was a cook there, and she said to just hate it when people come into her restaurant and try to do other things with it. So she'll yell at them to get out because she wants to keep a tight kitchen.
She wants to stay at that restaurant.
So I didn't include that in my story either, but yeah, just Doniphan, Missouri. Apparently just
a lot of hidden history there.
Yeah.
And so you went to two different places. Were you a skeptic of the supernatural going into this, or did you kind of believe? And do you still have the same opinion?
Yeah, I would say that I probably definitely was a skeptic. I've never had any kind of spooky, ghostly experiences in my life. But after this, I will say that, I think there may be, the possibility of something else being out there, especially after the loud bang that we heard in our interview. So you're
gonna pick up a side hustle as a paranormal investigator?
Yeah, I think that's my next job.
That's your next job. We'll look for Macy doing ghost hunts here.
That'll be my second. On the weekends, I'll try to pick up a extra job.
When she's not working. All right. Well, Macy, great stories. Thank you for taking part. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.